don't I believe that that's true? Hey guys, what's up? I am here today to talk about a legend, about a myth, about something that a lot of people believe, and I am here to discuss, to raise a discussion and show you my arguments on why I don't believe that is true. The myth of you can only learn English from a native speaker. And why don't I think that is true? Why don't I believe that that's true? One, I wouldn't be here today teaching you English, and two, I wouldn't have learned English myself because I had most of my teachers were Brazilian. So how could I have learned English? So let's get to it. So before we get started, let me tell you a little story. As a coordinator, my job was to select new teachers. And of course, every now and then I got CVs from native speakers, people from everywhere, and looking for a job. Eventually, they went through the process and they were hired. Also, part of my job was to teach new teachers, inexperienced teachers, how to teach grammar. And then I had to talk about the grammar in a way that they understood what they needed to know and they understood what the students needed to know. So from all that information, what do you need to convey to the students, what do they need to know, and how do you do that? Because this is too much. The teacher knows a lot and the students need to be filtered. The information needs to be filtered, processed, so it gets to the students easily and they understand. So during those classes, it was very frequent for a native speaker to come to me and say, wow, I had no idea that I could not do this in this situation. I had no idea why this preposition or this adverb is placed like that in this situation, in this position, with this combination. So think about it. In Portuguese, Portuguese is your mother tongue, Portuguese is your native language. Do you know how to teach Portuguese? Can you explain to someone, to a foreigner, someone who's learning the language, why things are the way they are? You know? To be honest, I don't know. I don't know how to teach Portuguese. I speak Portuguese fluently, but I can't teach it. The fact that someone is a native speaker is a very generic term, and it's very far from the term good teacher, isn't it? What does it tell me about that person's abilities to teach, to get the hard information and process it in a way that the student digests it easily? What does it tell me about that person's ability to motivate someone? What does it tell me about that person's ability to keep studying and learning and investigating different ways of teaching? It just tells me that that person was born in a specific country, learned that language since they were babies, since they were born, but it doesn't tell me about teacher qualifications. So going back to the example of being a Portuguese native speaker, how would you explain the word enriquecedor? Hard word, isn't it? Wow. Abstract, difficult. How would you explain that? Just because you know it, you know the meaning, doesn't mean you know how to explain. Can you explain pretérito imperfeito? Do you know how to agree subject, verb, eu, tu, vós, eles, nós? Do you know how to do it? Probably not. I'm thinking that chances are you don't know how to. So there is this belief that the native speaker is a better teacher. Well, let's say that he's a native speaker and he must be better. Why? Because he's a role model. He's a perfect model to be followed. So if I follow, if I just do whatever he does, then I will speak better English, or I will learn English, which I couldn't if the teacher were from a different nationality. That's the belief. That's what we're trying to break here, to deconstruct. So as to the modeling, being a role model thing, pronunciation, intonation, and accent is something I believe from what I read in different articles as well. That is what we aim at. Oh, so he's a native speaker, his pronunciation is perfect. What about all the accents, all the dialects that exist around the world? This idea that a native speaker has better English, has more standard English, has more understandable English is not true. It's not entirely true. If you talk to an American he might have difficulty, and he will tell you, or he may tell you, that he has a hard time understanding an Irishman, or he has a hard time understanding someone from India. I saw a video once where a guy from India was saying that the English that they spoke was the right one, and the American said, my English is the right one. So there's no right or wrong. There are different kinds of accents, different kinds of pronunciations, dialects, expressions. So being a native doesn't necessarily mean that you are more understandable or more standard or better. From my point of view, your accent and your pronunciation, they may carry a little bit of your baggage, they may carry a little bit of your origin, of your own culture. If you listen to J-Lo talking, she has that, Latin, Bronx vibe in the way she speaks. It's different from listening to Obama. Obama he also has an accent that tells us about where he came from. So people have different accents, and it's okay. You just need to be understood. You need to make sure that your English is clear enough, that your pronunciation is clear enough not to get in the way of what you're trying to say. So that how you say it doesn't come before what you say. So yes, a native speaker may have a very clean pronunciation or not. And non-native speakers may also have a very clean, beautiful English. Something else that should be taken into consideration. The other day I was talking to someone who also works with English, and she had hired a native speaker, and for the first time in my life I heard a story like this. It's not something that happens every day. I don't know, I can't explain why, but it did happen. She hired a native speaker, an American, born, raised, 100% American, and she made a lot of mistakes. She said things like, what was it? You was. Oh, you was here. They was here. When I say mistakes, I mean according to grammar. I know that there are dialects and there are cultures where that is even something important for that person's cultural identification. But for a teacher in the school that she was teaching here in Brazil, that was not acceptable. Saying you was is not acceptable. So we had to teach them, we have to teach you guys the correct grammar. Of course, we may pinpoint those details or exceptions or cultural aspects, but we need to teach you the rule. So an American came wanting to teach, and she had grammar mistakes. And besides that, that was an extreme case. That was something that we don't see every day. But besides that, there is also relation, there's also connection with educational level. In any society, the amount of vocabulary that you have, the amount of tools in your bag of tools, if you can use something formal, informal, if you have enough language to present something to a crowd, to an audience, to very, very formal listeners, that will depend on how much you read, how much you study. Language is intrinsically connected with education. So being a native speaker does not mean that you have the vocabulary that it takes to teach someone else how to be fluent. For the sake of argument, let's suppose that this teacher does have a very good range of words and vocabulary and structure, everything's fine. Is the best at knowing words, the best at teaching. I love playing volleyball. I'm not the best, but it's something that really relaxes me. I have played volleyball all my life. Nowadays I haven't been, but anyway, I still love it. I wish I could play. So ever since I was really, really young, I think I must have been 8 years old, second grade, if I'm not mistaken, I started playing volleyball. And my coach, who was the same coach all my life, up to I think the age of 17, right before college college entrance exams, Edson, I love him up to this day. I still have this phone number, so WhatsApp group, I still know what he's doing, where he is, and he's an amazing guy. So he was a coach, right? He was my coach, and he had learned volleyball as well. So whenever he told me something that I was supposed to do, so I was supposed to try again, I was supposed to try the same movement over and over again. I could not give up. I had to show the other team that I believed in myself. Right? We, when I say I mean the whole team, but he also spoke to me individually sometimes. So I trusted him because I knew he had struggled to learn volleyball too. He wasn't born playing volleyball. He learned the ability, he learned the sport. I feel like the connection that I had with him was much stronger. The bond was much stronger than it would have been if anyone could be born learning volleyball. But the metaphor, let's compare the stories. It's kind of like that. So learning from someone who struggled to learn. Does this person realize the difficulties, the struggles that you are going through? You, as a non-native speaker, you have a lot of bumps along the way, obstacles. He didn't go through the same struggles you did. The non-native, on the other hand, did. He went through the process of sitting at a desk, of listening to a teacher, not understanding a word that teacher was saying, trying to translate it in his head but not being able to. So that struggle, if you are a native, you didn't go through that. You were born and you were just listening and things just came to you. So for me, that is a great advantage when I know your struggle. As a student, I also felt and I tripped and I struggled in a lot of moments. To sum up, can a native speaker be an amazing teacher? Of course. There's a bunch of native speakers who are great teachers. However, I don't think that's what makes a great teacher. You don't have to be native to be a great teacher. My opinion, and not just my opinion, I have been reading some articles on it. What makes a great teacher is not its passport, where he was born, where she was born. It is a group of abilities. It is knowing the language very well. It is knowing how to convey, how to transmit that information to the student, and knowing the student's struggle. In my opinion, those three abilities can lead up to a very good teacher. So I just wanted to break this myth and show you guys that yes, if you have a Brazilian teacher, if you are here, if you are following us as well, trust your teacher. Trust the teacher, not for the nationality, but for what he or she is bringing you and is teaching you. Trust your instincts. Are you learning? Do you feel like you're learning? Are you evolving? Do you see yourself growing? Do you see that the world is responding to your English differently? So thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're watching this on YouTube, and like, share, comment. That helps me a lot. That helps spread the word, and share it with your friends too, your friends who you know are struggling with English as well. Leave comments, as I said, try to leave them in English, work on your English. If you make mistakes, it's part of the journey. Don't worry about it. I'll try to correct. If you want to be corrected, you can also ask me, please correct me, and I will take a look and help you out with that as well. So if you want to be fluent for real, stay tuned. We have content every day, practically every day here on the internet, on Instagram, on Facebook, and a lot of cool videos on YouTube also every week for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.